Hello, I'm Sean Lambert. Today we are testing out our new version of Kriegspiel in Vassal. So what I did is I built a custom-made Vassal module for the purposes of playing 7 Years War battles. And what I'm doing right now is umpiring two teams of 2 players each that have command of a division each. Now the Prussian division, it is Prussians versus Austrians, and we are on the road to Cologne. This is in between the battles of Prague and Cologne, and the Austrians are attempting to relieve a force of besieged units at Prague, and the Prussians are trying to prevent that. So the Prussians don't know it because I told them that they're trying to interdict forces further to the south. But the Austrians are coming right down the road towards them shortly, and so they are going to have to do something to stop them. Now the Austrian force is much greener than the Prussians, and so they're going to have a hell of a time if they actually get into combat. But if they don't have to fight in combat, they should be just fine. Now, obviously, you can see here that the Prussians started further to the north, up to the west of this little forested area here, and they've been told that they have to move down south to go and interdict the enemy. Now, the Austrians might have to be a little cautious about this, and I essentially told them that they don't have to go straight down this road and try to fight the enemy, because they think the enemy is coming down this road. What they don't know is the enemy is coming from the north. And so we'll see what kind of friction results from that. And in terms of actually playing the game, because this is the first time I've ever done it, I've had to uncover some arcane knowledge. And the most important trick is that you can run multiple instances of a module at once. So that's what I'm doing. And so we have 2 game rooms, one for red and one for blue. And the players are in the separate game rooms so that they can't see each other's actions. And essentially what I'm going to do is go back and forth between the game rooms and get their orders, move the pieces, or tell them where the pieces for the enemy are. I'll use some markers, and then I will let them kind of control their board. I'm not going to be directly touching their board. I'm not going to be giving them screenshots or anything like that. This is going to be more traditional Kriegspiel, and hopefully an interesting experience for them. And in terms of combat, it's going to be a really quick, easy system, so that I won't even really describe to. I will describe the action of it. I won't show them the details of how the combats are resolved. So I will hopefully have some really interesting results from this, and we're going to skip ahead now to the actual gameplay. So far the battle's going quite well, I think. The system is very functional, and it's really nice to just casually pop in and not have to touch the pieces. I think that is the way of the future, is to go back to the past and use the way that Kriegspiel used to be played, where the umpires are not directly touching the pieces. They can give reports, but don't touch the pieces directly. So it's really nice to just be able to casually watch the players move their pieces, and we'll see how combat works. But thus far, I'm pretty pleased with how things are working. Both teams are seeming like they're kind of getting it. They're using their units the right way, and so I'm really happy with how it's going so far. I'm really excited though. This is, I can't tell you how long I've been trying to get something like this to work, and it just works so fantastically so far. I'm really happy. You have so little physical interaction with the players, and you can actually focus on what I consider more true umpiring. So the players are actually playing, and I am just umpiring. I think that is a kind of a whole paradigm shift here. Is that our intent as an umpire of Kriegspiel should be that the players are the player, and they should have agency not just in orders, but maybe actually in physical actions as well. So this is really eye-opening for me. The capabilities of Vassal in this regard are really impressive, and I'm shocked how easy it was to get this set up. I will admit, and I kind of wish I had done this a long time ago. That's how I'm feeling right now. Is regret never having done this before. It's just so easy. It's great. So again, I will hold back on my final decision on whether I'm going to start using this going forward until I get a test game where I'm working with another umpire. But I feel like I could probably umpire much larger teams by myself just using this. Now, is it ready for a full like Open Saturday game where we have like 50 players? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe there's limits to the server, so it needs to be stress tested from that standpoint. But the base functionality is definitely there. So I'm kind of just waiting to see if they're going to move their pieces. Oh, it looks like they're moving their southern force first. It seems like blue is a little bit more decisive here. They're just charging down this road, actively trying to get into combat, whereas red is a little bit more hesitant. If I had to analyze their actual orders at this point. So we'll see what happens. I'm really interested to see what he does with this front cavalry up here. So I'm waiting for the other team to give their orders still. But what do you guys think so far about the experience, the Vassal experience?
That's good.
It's good. For me, I think it will make games significantly faster because a lot of pressure is taken off the umpire's hand.
Mm.
But yeah, it's gonna take a bit of time to get used to it, most definitely.
Yeah, I think once we get a cadre of players that kind of know what to do, I think it actually is pretty good. I'm very impressed so far. I know we haven't done
Mhm.
that much, but just to do something like this the way we normally do it would take a lot longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And personally, I will say that it's very relaxed for me. I'm not feeling pressured to do anything right now.
Mhm.
Whereas if I was
Oh,
moving the pieces, I would feel more pressure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, may I just suggest one thing that is like a movement counter to measure exactly how long we can move because
Mm,
like even if we are moving two squares, right, we are kind of guessing it. So
right.
like, is there a measurement tool for this?
No, but I will add that. I can definitely add something like that. Probably similar to like how the arrows work. Actually, how close are the arrows to being a grid?
I had a look and I think they had slightly over 2 grids.
Yeah, they're a little
No,
too
slightly
long.
over 1 grid.
Yeah, so if I could get a piece like that where you can use that as a stick essentially,
Yeah.
like if you were playing miniatures, like a ruler. There is a line of sight tool built into the game.
Hmm.
I don't know how to program it though, so
Yeah.
I got to look into the best way to do it. But I think that is a great enhancement idea. But overall, I mean, I think the concept kind of is viable. I don't know how well it'll scale to like bigger games, but if you're just doing a
Yeah.
little 3v3 or even 5v5, it's probably fine.
Hmm.
And so it might be good for like those quick games during the week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
Also, there's an issue which may arise is if it's like, not saying malicious players, but inexperienced players might make some movement orders that are like illegal or something like that. So it can be a bit hard to audit as well.
Well, yeah, but that's why this is actually good, because the umpire can just then intervene and enforce the rule, rather than,
Yeah.
the players are playing and the umpire is umpiring. Like if you were playing a game of, like, football or cricket or something, you would have, uh, you know, the umpire wouldn't be throwing the ball. you know, I think that's the concept I'm trying to get away from, is having the umpire have to do the playing as well as the umpiring. Every turn, I feel like, wow, it's so easy. Okay, this is really interesting. Now, essentially their orders seem to be that First Brigade is going to kind of do their thing and attempt to hold the line in this nice little defensive terrain here that they found. I didn't even notice that when I was analyzing this scenario, but both teams have nice little areas of defensive terrain, and then they're fighting over this kind of flat, swampy terrain in between. This is actually turning into a really interesting little scenario. I'm very excited for this, to see how it plays out. And we have passed. So we started at the 9 o'clock turn, and we have passed. Oh my God, we've almost done 2 full hours of game time already, which to me is incredibly fast. Incredibly fast. This is, to me, the best I've ever felt about a game, and it's so much better to just have the players moving things. I love it. So now that combat is actually started, we can take a look at how this system is working. And essentially what the idea is to have units be kind of extremely fragile, and combat is very intense in this system. So you want them to not survive very long. So as soon as they got into contact in this area, they immediately broke cohesion, broke down to their reduced form, and then they will probably break the next turn if they continue to have to fight this out. The Dragoons should actually have quite an advantage in this little town, all things considered. Looks like the orders are for them to pull out. So we'll see how that works for them. Cavalry fall back along southwest to the main road. Yeah, that's actually a really interesting idea. I love how the players are playing this. I think that's my favorite part so far, is just the actual experience seems to be really interesting. I really love it. Okay, so we've gone through an hour in real time, and we've gone through 2 full hours in the game. Wow, we're already at 11. That's crazy. The Red forces are trying to maneuver around their 2nd Brigade, which was kind of on a parallel road to the south. They're trying to come around and link up with the rest of the division. I think that's their overall intent. So 2nd Brigade is kind of moving up around there. And in general, the Prussians seem to be doing pretty damn well for themselves. It seems like the Prussians are knowing what the hell they're doing. But both games are looking really interesting right now. Cavalry units are trying to block the road to the south. Wow, that's interesting. So 3rd Infantry is moving southwest, deploying into line, shooting at enemy cavalry in... Oh, okay, that's the orders for the last turn. Cavalry is to move from Lebachi. Meanwhile, the artillery itself appears to be attempting to fall back, and the infantry is turning itself around to try and halt that movement. So I think that in this case, the cavalry is gonna have a pretty good time against these guys, because they're trying to quickly swing themselves around and fight against cavalry. But it is a full infantry regiment, so they should be able to handle this, I would imagine. And meanwhile, it looks like the Austrians are kind of falling back a little bit. The idea of their cavalry is to try and draw off enemy units so that they can reposition the division, looks like further south. But I'm not sure if that's going to work out for them. So we're coming into the kind of end phase of this battle here, where the enemy, where the two forces have been fighting, and they're kind of running out of reserves, except the Austrians are still trying to bring up part of their division to get them onto the line. And meanwhile, they're trying to pull back the rest of the division so that maybe they can get a whole division all the way together. And you can kind of see, based on the number of markers, how active this area has been. It's a good indication that there's been a lot of combat when you see a lot of movement trails like that. So all these dragoons and units down here have really been under a lot of pressure. They've been fighting really good, and I would say after this battle you could call them kind of more experienced than they used to be. Certainly not green anymore. These guys are now veterans almost. And meanwhile, the enemy, the Prussians here, have reformed themselves, as we see the Prussian point of view, have managed to reform and reorganize themselves into a more stable lines. So their infantry are probably going to win the day in the end. And that's kind of the direction this is heading, is that the Prussian quality is going to be really important as the day goes on. And as the battle continues, these large regiments are just going to keep slamming into each other, incurring quite a bit of casualty until one side decides to withdraw.
Compound the fact. So the good things are like it definitely makes the turns go faster if you know what you're doing, and because the player has a lot more power as compared to the umpire going back to channel and compiling all the orders and stuff. Here, like, the players are the main ones doing it, and the umpires can just observe and do any correction if they need. This is good because, like, our game lasted like 3 hours, which is like most Kriegspiel live games last 4 to 6 hours, so it's definitely an improvement. uh Improve, other than for improvements, like my partner said, like, we need some sort of marker to measure out the infantry movements. And secondly, like, a very big problem currently is, like, if we move any unit, any piece, the screen is just like moving to that unit. Say that the cavalry was at Liblici for a long time. So when I tried moving the cavalry from Liblici, like, it would go to that screen, and my partner can't move his infantry. So, like the screen kept jumping, and that was an annoyance.
Yeah, I agree on that. I think it's
There's a
save a lot of time on the.
There's a setting in Vassal you can use to change that. That's on the client side. So
Okay.
if you go into general settings, you can uncheck center on opponent's moves.
I like the how it's game going on Vassal. It saves a lot of time when on the movement phase, but maybe a little bit confusing when battle starts. Maybe it's like have best potential for the operational games with like marching simulator. But everything else was fine. That's interesting.
And I don't know if Tom is still around, so I think with that we can call it here, and probably have more versions of this. But I think your helpful advice will definitely make this better. I am kind of excited to see the potential of it, because it seems like it's a pretty smooth way to play the game. And it reminds me a lot of if you play Kriegspiel in person, this is kind of how it goes. So it reminded me a lot of that.
Yeah, it's fun.
But thank you guys for showing up and for playing along with my very rough test version. And I will continue to update this module. If you guys ever want to use it to play games, all you need to do is just kind of set it up. And if you want to preset a scenario, you just save it as a save file, and then you can give that to the players.
Okay.
But thank you very much, and have a great day.
Bye.
Thank you as well.
Thank you.
Bye.